Hi everyone, welcome to the third hands-on session for the BA Club for the user stories. So today's topic is all about the user story definition, the three C's of user story, invest approach, the SPIDR approach of splitting the user stories, and Gaurav Joshi, one of the weekend session, Gaurav shared the SPIDR approach. And there are some other ways of splitting user stories. Yes, the reference of user story, along with acceptance criteria and non-functional requirements. These are all the things which we already know, which we already discussed or covered. So today's activity is mainly on the hands-on activity for defining the user stories. Right. So before going into the hands-on activity, anyone want to have any questions or doubts or anything we want to discuss? Oh, quick recap. The user story is a small increment which the team can get it done, implemented, and it should be small enough for the team to get that implementation within the days. Again, that is all the different thing. We are not talking here about the estimations. No, today's topic is only about the user stories, defining and the user story. So a typically recommended format of a user story is like as a user, I want to do the activity so that the user will get the business value. When we say the user, the developer, tester, BA, PO, UAT, they are not the users. Right? The actual end user of our application, the product, that is what the user we are talking about here. And the main intention of the story should be vertically sliced like a cake slice, right? Which means it should touch each and every layer, each and every flavor of the implementation. That is what the typical user story should be defined. Okay. Oh, the anti-pattern, yes, the analysis story, development story, DB story, testing story. This is what is observed in many companies, many implementations. So what's happening is maybe if we go in this way, the sprint one, the first three stories might be done. The fourth story, the testing story or the integration story might be still in progress. So are we as a team, are we having a working increment valuable product? No. Then how can we say that the story is meeting the definition of done or the story is ready for completion in the sprint? Right. And this is another anti-pattern which we discussed just now. These are all the things, different things happen in the typical implementation. So as an agilist, it is our role. We need to make sure these are being taken care and this has been ensured that we are helping the teams understand how we can define the user stories and how we can get it done. Then invest. We all know that independent, the story should be independent, negotiable, the scope should be able to negotiate, then valuable, the estimable or estimatable, small or simple, and the testable. This is what the typical approach we follow for any user story. And Gaurav shared this approach of SPIDR, the spikes, path, interfaces, data, and rules. Yes, this is one way, and it is coming directly from the Mountain Goat software. So this is one way how we can define the user stories, and we can go ahead with that. So there is some uh, pointers of what is the spike or the path, and then the interfaces or the integration. Yes, we might have to think about that as well. Then the data, and moving on to the rules, the business rules or the validation rules, the logics and everything, right? And these are some additional ways. Yes, more or less we covered it. But some other things is like the operations, the CRUD operations, typically we call, right? Create, define, validate, test, and validate. You're able to hear me? I doubt.
You were breaking for a few seconds, Satish.
Okay, okay.
Now
Looks
we
like
can hear you.
no. Okay, thank you. Looks like my signal is fluctuating again. Let me stop my video. If that helps. Okay, yeah. So these are some additional ways we can split the user stories, and the operations is what one additional thing is coming up. the CRUD operations, typically we call like the create, read, update, or delete. If we have any functionality related to that, yes, we can split the user stories in that format or approach as well. Okay, and then a sample user story reference, which I gave. This is we again, it is all just my own creativity. So sorry for that if in case this is not how we define it, but this is what typically we follow. The user story definition. The numbering sequence typically comes from the tool, whichever the tool we use, so nothing to worry about it. The story definition and the dependencies or assumptions on prerequisites. These also can be linked directly within the tools. No need to explicitly define it like this. We can directly link the dependencies in the tool for the user story is related to, is blocked by, is dependent on. Using that also, we can get it done. Right? So the main thing comes for the is the acceptance criteria. Many cases, it is observed that the story definition is given in one single line or a statement and mention, hey, go ahead and implement the story. Team might start with the implementation. That's where they will come back and forth, the clarifications, the questions or the doubts, which indirectly might cause the delay in getting the story implementation done. So wherever possible and feasible, ideally we should be including or defining the acceptance criteria. So one format or template of defining the use cases or the acceptance criteria is given, when, then format, right? So when we say given, when, then, that gives clear context of what the team has to implement or what the end user, the customer, when we say the user, the whoever is the user playing the role here, the customer perspective, they will be getting this benefit, they will be getting the value out of these. Once we define the use cases or the scenarios also, we might get more clarity. Hey, this might be too much to get it done within one single user story. If you go back to the invest technique, right? It should be small, it should be independent, it should be negotiable, and it should be valuable as well. Yes, definitely the story is valuable, but still we have some scope to slice that into smaller user story. For example, the email notification, text notification, as a company, as a team, as a product organization, we might already have an idea of how to implement it. But let's assume the WhatsApp notification, this is the first time we are doing it. So do we want to slice it into a spike as the first, try it out and see how to implement that, how to get it done, what the challenges we might face or foresee during the implementation. Then accordingly, we will be moving into the subsequent implementation of the user story. Yes, that is one way we can do that, right? Then the non-functional requirements, as we slice down the use cases into smaller user stories, these should be also equally sliced down or carried forward. Like let's suppose if I'm just now I mentioned example of WhatsApp notification to be moved out as a separate spike and a separate user story, then the non-functional requirement related to that also should be moved out, right? So it should be, yes, that is what typically we as a product owners are doing it, but just as a recap, for the new participants who are joined, yes, or who is the first time, a quick recap of the user story, the definition, the approach which we can use to uh, implement, which we can use to help the teams to get the user stories implemented. Okay, are we good?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we have 17 participants. We can split into 3 teams of, if we exclude me, okay, 16. So 3 teams of 5 members, 6 members each. So that we'll have some productive discussion and the conversation among yourself, and we can get started with that.
Satish, you can put me as an extra participant. I am planning to hold back this time.
Sure. Okay. So before that, let's discuss on what's the features we want to split into the user stories. As 3 features. Shall we go back and pick up the online ride sharing app, which we did the MVP, the release planning last time, or you want to go with a different set of features?
I think we can continue with the same.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring in that. Where is that? Is the story mapping? Okay. So here is our, okay. Register profile to the app as a driver, owner of the or passenger, or able to see available passengers on my route when I'm traveling. Able to decide on passengers for ride. The price should be auto-populated on the route. Payment should be automated. Okay. And what else? So shall we go ahead with these features?
I think we can take one of these features and
One
try
of
to
these. Okay. Which one?
payment.
Payment. Payment, automated payment. Okay.
Or payment options.
Payment options. Okay. Payment options. Payment options as one of the feature. Okay, what's the next feature? Group one, user stories. Okay. Okay. Payment, display of payment options, right? Payment options for ride sharing app. Passenger should be able to choose from the list of available payment options. Okay. Driver should be able to limit the list of available options. I mean, bringing in the complexity. Okay, and what else? Payment processing is defined as a separate feature. Okay. Do we need to add any other pointers?
Confirmation after making the payment.
Confirmation after making the payment. Okay. Confirmation after making the payment. Okay. To both driver and passenger, right? Do you have any NFRs, non-functional requirements? Payment should be processed within maybe 10 seconds. Anything else? Okay.
Security
What?
need to add.
Security, yes. Security, thanks, Ramesh. Encryption or decryption of security of the payment processing to be taken care of. Okay. Yes, that's the feature one. So who is planning to join or who will be in the breakout room one, you will be going through this feature. Okay, the next feature. Oh, oh, okay. The feature definition.
searching the rides or finding the rides?
Finding the rights. Okay. Do you want to go just for finding the rights? For ride sharing app. Do you want to add any logic for this, so that just finding the rights? Okay. Any other acceptance criteria?
A user should able to view multiple options of, time and
Multiple options of
the ride. Yeah.
time and rider availability.
Yeah. Okay.
Type of car.
Choice of car or model can be displayed, but user to choose from. Okay, rights available right should be displayed within maybe 3 seconds of user clicking on search or find rights option. And the security, the customer details are not to be shared with the driver directly. Okay.
One
It
more
could be
can
vice
added.
versa, right? Customer as well as the driver data both should not be displayed. Reason being, a driver can be an employee of.
And one more
Okay.
can be added, within that much radius only the rides will be displayed. 20,
Oh,
sorry, within 10 kilometers or something.
rights
So if you
between.
have entered source and destination, so in that case, distance doesn't come into picture, right?
I meant to say, Shipra,
Like
the
the nearest
riders
ride.
available within the 10 kilometers
Yeah.
from source.
From source, yeah.
You can add.
I think no. I think rather than
multiple share.
As a first priority. Yes, maybe the first priority, we can try to display the rights within 10 kilometers from the source. If not, yes, then the next step we can go.
Satish, rather than kilometers, I think we should include minutes only. Kilometers, yeah. Rather than kilometers, it should says the rider within 15 minutes. From
15
source.
minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Yes.
time is what we are looking for while booking a cab or something.
Exactly. I guess you are from Bangalore. If I'm not wrong.
No, Delhi. From Delhi.
Delhi. Okay.
You can go for singular shared.
Single or shared rights. Do we want to have it within the same feature or a different feature?
Different feature. Should be a different
feature. Yes.
Yeah.
Different feature.
Should be an option to book a standalone cab or a.
Yes,
shared.
it is for the single use. Okay. The shared ride and the shared split payment also can be done as a separate feature, because the different logistics, different complexities would be coming up. For the time being, yes, we can.
Can you please elaborate on this? Driver details are not to be shared with the customer. Ideally, it should be shared, right?
Yeah, that's what we are the ones who are defining the feature. Yes, if it is want to be, yes, we can. I will remove it. If you don't want, I will add it.
No, Satish. No,
So,
Satish. Even I waited for. I waited for a minute to understand this feature. So this feature says only finding, not booking.
Yes.
Right. So there is a huge difference. While booking, then this things should not come into picture.
See,
because while
yes.
finding, no point of sharing both information. It's just the cab.
Right.
This driver can be an employee. I mean, he is also a corporate employee. Who doesn't want to share his details, right? So
yes.
So ideally, it is more like their personal mobile number, which is used during the registration, is not shared with the other party. It could be the right provider or the right taker. That is what it means.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
And one more feature, we should include the amount of the ride.
Okay. So for the customer to choose, right? Choice of
Yes.
car or model and the tentative amount. Shall I say tentative amount? Tentative amount of
Yeah.
ride should be displayed for the customer based
Against
upon
each
the
option.
car model chosen against each option. Okay, against each option. Yes.
Is this only for cars? We do not have for two-wheeler,
For now,
right?
yes, cars. We are still in the MVP, so for now we are going with the cars.
Satish,
Cool.
one more thing. So
Mhm.
generally, some employees, they tend to, they travel with their, we say, cousins or wife or relative. One
Hmm.
seat will be allotted for them, and then like you have to drop them in between. They have to drop their kids to the school. All that will be there. So I wouldn't want to. There should be an option to exclude such. Um,
Yes, I got your point, Shubha. So the folks who joined the first time, yes, with the ride sharing app, which we plan is like either the driver can be, the employee can share their car or the vehicle while they're going to the office, the same route, same commute, that is one option. The second option is like a typical Ola or Uber. Right, the driver will be coming. It could be his own vehicle or a transport vehicle, but the passenger can be choosing the option. Right. So Shubha, coming back to your point, here we explicitly mentioned this is for single use, which means as a passenger, I want to just book for my own use. Right. I might not be
right.
comfortable sharing with others.
No. What I'm telling is,
Mhm,
assume I extensively use a quick ride. So
mhm, mhm,
my colleague, he generally he will drop his wife to one office, and then
mhm,
we continue our ride. So sometimes while dropping, we will have to get into the another office, and then we have to take a U-turn from there. So all the time, I wouldn't be interested in. I don't want to waste my time. If that is the
Got
case,
it.
if
Got
he's
it.
dropping his wife, then I wouldn't want to get into his ride. So something like
Yes,
We
yes,
can
yes.
say
Got it.
we can say have an option of adding an additional stoppage.
Will it be in the same feature or a different feature?
Should be in the same feature because only then it will calculate the amount.
right. I want to find the right ride that suits me.
I'm a bit confused between Shubha's point and Amit's point. Right. See.
Okay,
No,
so I'm just explaining that what she's saying. She's saying that there should be an option of not accepting if anybody else is dropping in
Hmm,
between,
hmm.
right? So
Yes,
what I'm
yes, yes.
saying is we are finding a ride. So there should be an option from A to B, but in between I can add A.1 of my choice. Okay, if it's me who is riding, there is no point of adding a additional stoppage. So here it is not applicable. But what I'm saying is while finding a ride, there should be an option of adding a stoppage. That's all.
Yeah, here
so
is
Hmm.
that then we need to have a flag for the ride provider which says
Hmm.
they are accompanying something. Based on that
Right.
flag, we can filter this.
Correct.
here,
Yes.
here is
Yes.
my take. Here is my take on it. So we are preparing an MVP. For MVP,
Hmm.
we can assume that it is just one passenger, and it's we can assume that it is something that we will like to add in future, but maybe not now. So the first thing we need to do is to ensure that I can get a ride.
Yes, thanks, Shipra, for pitching in. So, Shubha, your point is right. So, if the driver or rider is sharing or already have someone, maybe his family, kids, or someone, then you, as a passenger, I might not be comfortable. Yes, that's the reason this feature is explicitly focused on single use. Single use means the drivers will get filtered out if the drivers choose that they are traveling with someone or they are already having that +1 seat block for someone else, right? So that might be coming as a separate feature altogether, like for the sharing the ride or when the driver is having someone else accompanying. So we will have it as a separate feature.
Yes, agreed. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. The third feature, quickly, I can get into the activity. Yes. Registration of passenger or driver?
Both, right? Both are equally important. So we can
Both
have
are
two stories. Yeah.
both are equally important, but the details which we need for passenger registration is different versus the driver registration. Right?
Yeah, they
A
will.
driver can also become a passenger sometimes, right? I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
then they might have to register as a passenger separately. Right. So if I am a passenger, I just need to give my the corporate, because I am a corporate employee, I might give my company address, my name, email address, phone number, and maybe some ID proof. That's it. But if if I have to register myself as a driver, I need to give my vehicle details, the make, model, maybe the driver's license, some additional things will come up. Got it, Shubham?
Yeah, there should be an option for both. So otherwise, he has to register twice, which is a double activity. He will be sharing the same details twice.
Yes,
Instead, there should
we
be a
can add that.
checkbox where he can, as both, or he want to register as just a driver or just a passenger, or both.
Yes, yes. For now, we can go with the passenger details as a feature. Include first name, last name, and maybe the mobile number and email address, and the corporate email address for validation. Because again, as MVP, we are doing for corporate employees. And what else? Anything else you need to in the acceptance criteria or NFRs?
ID of the employee.
Yes, Ramesh, can you come in?
Yeah, ID of the employee.
ID of the employee. We are taking the corporate email address. Isn't it sufficient? ID, I generally don't prefer sharing my ID with anyone.
Right.
I can share my email address, which is a public information anyways. Okay, yes, again, this might be the high level features.
No, but what about location? My location as a passenger?
Location.
Location and definitely the shift timing.
Shift timing. Okay, location. Do we want to say the residence and the company or the corporate location? And the shift timing or timings. Yes. Okay.
Do we need to
Yes.
consider gender also? Because additional security features should be given.
Yes. Yes. Thanks for that. And we can add, yes, as Shubha mentioned, we can add one option like option to register as a driver with the same details.
No,
Maybe
then there should be a something like radio button or a checkbox where are you a passenger
that's
or
why option.
Yeah.
That's why option,
Okay.
right? It could be a checkbox. Yes, we can define it in the story, right? Option. We can give the option if they want to use the same details. When we say the same details, the details can be pre-filled when they start registering as a driver.
Additional fields should be displayed to get the vehicle information.
Yes, yes. Okay, and one more thing just now I thought, Dilip, can you go on mute?
So KYC also.
Can we add driving license? They are going to register with the driver.
For the driver, yes, we'll have that. But for the passenger, it might not require.
So KYC need to add.
KYC for passenger.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are we not doing it by this corporate email address? We are minimizing our work by going with the corporate employees.
So this is only for employees, not for all.
Yes, for the employees right now as an MVP. Okay. Okay. Yes. Again, this is not the full-fledged features, but yes, the high-level features to get started with. Yes, Salman.
I think we can add the company's admin local police station number. If there is an SOS button for a female status, the SOS button need to trigger alarm message or call to police station, the local admin HR or something like that.
Do
Shouldn't
we want
that
to?
be
I'm just
on the
asking. I'm not
login
very
page
sure
or
whether
something
it's
like
come
that?
under this feature.
No, that should
yes.
be as a SOS should be on the app itself, on the homepage of the app, not during the registration of it, I believe, right?
Yes, you're right. Even I have the same thought.
Okay, I was thinking that suppose an employee is in different unit, different place, that SOS should be trigger with her local police station wherever it's driving or the location where the employee has been deployed. So this KYC, the details we collect for an employee should interlink or interface with some details like that.
No, but the SOS you are saying is should be common for all passengers because this should be inside the app once you log in, right?
The Salman's point is, let's suppose I am in.
It will be inside the app.
Yes, Salman, go ahead.
Yeah, go Guru, please. Sorry. Please go. You are correct. You got it. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Good. We got it resolved. Okay. Yeah, we can get revised as you start discussing with your team. Start taking this as a user stories and see where if you want to add anything. Yes, this is not the full-fledged stories. We are not doing that feature writing workshop. No. So yes, the high level features at least to get started with the thing. Okay. Let's get into the teams. So this is a feature 3. So
Satish, one small thing I would like to ask for the first feature that we wrote. The first feature we are saying payment. So I think there should be there should be 2 more options. One is to save. If I'm paying through card, there should be an option to save the card. And second, what about OTP?
OTP. Okay.
Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is just an option, right?
Yes. The
option.
payment
Okay,
processing
sorry.
is defined as a separate feature. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Feature 1.
Satish, I mean, for payments, there should be wallet, right? Like that particular app's wallet would be better, right?
Yes. That's the reason we are displaying all the available options. The customer can choose. At the same time, we can say that the driver can set, hey, I want only in the Google Pay, or I want only through some net banking, or what are the option. We are giving the option for both the passengers and customer, the drivers, right? And we are not doing the processing right now. The processing can be done as a separate feature. Okay.
But usually, Satish, before booking a ride, we also select the option to pay, whether it's a cash or through wallet or through the card. So we usually don't conversate with the driver that how I have to pay. Because if it's an app, it should be completely, technical or something, right? There should not be any physical approach.
Okay. So now, does it have some connectivity with the option 2? Sorry, the feature 2. See, in the feature 2, we are saying that the customers, based upon the passenger's request, we'll be displaying the riders or the rides available. So if I choose maybe the phone pay or Paytm as a default option, Are we filtering it here? Displaying only the rights which are allowing the Paytm as a payment mode? Is it
I think he's not talking about Paytm. I think he's talking about either cash or wallet, the company's own wallet or other payment mode, something like that.
Okay. Then with that perspective, yes, I guess the payment of, okay. So you meant to say we need to update some acceptance criteria. Okay, do one thing. Join your teams. You can do the updates, whatever you want. Right. So this is again, that's what the next. How much? Now it is 9:46. So shall we go ahead till 10:40? Almost 55 minutes. How do you want to go ahead? What's the plan?
Satish, also I am the new joiner, so you have to tell me where to go. I'm so sorry. I mean,
Sure. I
yeah.
will share the Miro board link and you can join
Oh,
it.
I'm there only. I'm there only.
You're there only. Okay.
Yeah.
In the left side, you can see open the sidebar. And here, if you scroll down, we have this group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Group 1 is the feature 1, the payment options. Group 2 is the feature 2, selecting the rights, and group 3 is the passenger registration. So group 4, we are not having anything. So these are the 3 groups right now we are having. So once you're on the Miro board, click on that left sidebar, like here. Open the sidebar,
Okay.
click on it.
Yeah.
Scroll down a little bit. The slide numbers 24, 25, 26. Click on that. You will just move around there. And these are all
Okay.
the sticky notes available. Double click, it will start typing. You can do parallel story writing as well. Okay, are you good?
Satish, can you please share the
Basically,
mic?
the intent is to divide this feature into number of independent user stories, right?
Yes, exactly. So these are the features. If you require, you can refine the features, change or update, append acceptance criteria and the non-functional requirements. Or if you feel this feature itself is not making any sense, yes, as a group, you discuss among yourselves. You come to a agreement within the next 5 minutes, not more than that. The main intention is like, now take these features as a base, start defining the user stories, as many user stories. And if in case any point of time, if you feel you need to define as a spike, click on it, see the color, just change the color to something else so that it will be easy to figure out, identify which is a user story, which is a spike. If you want, you can add again additional sticky notes. You can do all these things, right? So you just drag and drop or just do it. You can do all these things. Okay. And which are the breakouts are automatically assigned from the Zoom. So by default, now we have like 24 participants, including me. So we will be splitting into 3 breakout rooms, 7 to 8 members each group. Make sure you have a conversation. Make sure it is like a effective discussion. We are here to learn, share our knowledge and understand and respect each other's opinions, pointers, and go ahead with the learning. That's what I can mention. And whichever breakout room you are in, you based upon number 1, 2, or 3 in the navigation, you can be between the screens 20 frames 24, 25, 26. Miro board link, yes. This is the link. I shared. You might, if it's the first time you are accessing, you might have to create a login. I'm not sure because it is a free My Robot, not a licensed version. So I don't have much of controls on that. Okay, so till 10:40, so that we will have enough time to come back and have the learnings as well.
Okay,
Okay.
Satish, sure. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm opening the rooms.
Sorry, I was actually on an unexpected call. So, which room am I supposed to facilitate? Satish, please do not curse
Just,
me for asking this.
sure. I'm just setting up the breakout rooms and 10:40. How much? 50 minutes, 48 minutes. Okay, that means it has 50 minutes. Pratyusha, you are in room 3. Okay. So room 1, we have Anuj, Avinash, Balaganesh, Kirti, Madhur, Moumita, Solomon, and Tushar. Room 2, we have Ami, W, Amit, Arvind, Ramesh, Joita, Monica, Niranjan, and Shipra. Room 3, we have Ashish, Pratyusha, Ramya, Sanjay, Shubha, Sudhir, and Veda.
Amit Sharma in group 2, right?
Yes, group 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's get started. Happy learning.
No, thanks. Actually, we were actually in a very serious discussion.
Okay. Looks like folks are coming back. Yes, let's wait. Okay, so how is the discussion? I was jumping around the rooms. Yes, I could see some healthy conversation, at the same time, heated discussions, whatnot. Yes. Which are the others? Okay.
I think they're joining us back. I see the numbers increasing.
Yeah, we are done.
Yes. Welcome back. Thanks to Zoom.
Yes, Satish.
It wherever we are, however we are, the discussion, the time was done, time boxed. Yes. The previous last 2 sessions we stretched, extended, but yes, for the time being, yes, we want to get it done with by 11 o'clock. Okay. Who would like to share their learnings? How the discussion went? What is your new learnings as part of today's session?
It was good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's always some different perspectives, Satish, in terms of thinking. So that's where we also will get some more insights of, okay, this direction also we should think. So that is, we had a very fruitful discussion in room 1. Solon, Kirti, okay, so Momita, they all, Anush, they all very well contributed to the discussions. So it's a collaborative way of arriving to the all corner scenarios. That's very nice.
Okay, so can one of you go and start sharing your room breakouts quickly so that we will others also will get to know
Sure.
how the discussion went and other things.
Tushar, Kirti, or who else? Kirti, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, but I would need some help on screen share, Bala.
I'll share Kirti.
Good.
So Satish, yeah, I'll present the list of items that we have covered, and I will also have 2 more points to cover. One is we have as a team we have a couple of doubts to cover. We also need some support on so from the other teams on some areas. So we'll get everything covered in one shot, right? So our feature is defining the payment option before the ride, right? So on a high level, the rider should be able to choose what are the feasible payment options that he can through which he can make the payment, and if the payment option is acceptable for the driver, only then the ride mapping should happen. right? If the payment options do not match, then there is no point in mapping the ride. So this was the overall idea that we had in our mind when we drafted the entire set of user stories, right? So we'll start with a spike. We identified there is a spike here, specifically on encryption and decryption. We are going to have a security gateway, which is going to be a third party, right? So as a rider app, my company will have set of security restrictions, and again same will be there for the third party company as well. So there I see an interface where my developers need to technically work on to come up with a POC on how I can implement this encryption during the payment. So that's why we have actually put that in Spike, right? And coming to the list of user stories, uh, first we discussed on what are all the feasible payment options that we can expose to the rider, right? And again, as an MVP, we can consider couple of these items, and the remaining user stories can still be put in the backlog. We can, as and when we build the alternative paths, we can consider them. So on a high level, if we look at cards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right, we are exposing wallet parking, cash parking, cash option, card option, UPI option, and net banking. I think there was one more, right, guys? There was something around coupons.
Coupon.
Yeah. So second row, second card, right? I want to avail. So as a rider, I will also be should also be able to avail the coupon for the wallet option, so that I will get some payment benefits. So this should definitely be considered as an MVP if we follow, let's say, business policy of Ola. So when they came to the market, they had this policy of highly subsidizing the payments, and then they captured the market. So I think this will definitely come under MVP.
Yes, yes.
And so these were the main payment options that we considered for the rider, right? So now for a driver, again coming to second row, second card, I want to choose the acceptable payment options of the rider so that I can accept the ride. So for driver, let's say if he has only cash or UPI payment option, then he should be able to select only those two options, so that he will get only the rights from the riders who can provide this particular payment option. So this mapping should basically run in the backend,
Sure.
right?
Okay. Good.
The next part of the process is after the ride is completed, how we make the payment, right? So when we make the payment, we identified there are two paths. One is for a successful payment, and other is for an unsuccessful payment. And again, for each path, the process, the user story for the driver will be different and the rider will be different. Say for a successful payment, as a rider, I want to get the notification on a successful payment. Similarly, as a driver, he also needs to get a notification on the successful payment. Maybe the message that gets displayed and the options that get displayed might vary slightly, but again, they are quite different from a development standpoint. And again, if for a failed payment, as a rider, I want to get the notifications to select alternate payment method for unsuccessful payment. So if the payment is unsuccessful, the rider should get redirected to the original page where he can select an alternative payment option. So for the driver, he needs to get notified about unsuccessful payments. So these are the high level items that we had covered, right? So as
sounds good.
We had the following questions, Satish. So one is let's say there are some processes that run in the backend, as in like that still need to be covered as business rules. Say for example, as rider sharing app, if that company itself has not subscribed to let's say Visa card payment, they have subscribed only to Mastercard payment, then this becomes a business rule, right? And this business rule is not applicable either for a rider or for a driver, right?
Exactly.
Then I need to identify a specific user story. I am not sure like how we can write this user story. Should we consider rider sharing app company itself as a separate user? for writing this user story?
See, typically that type of analysis will be done by the business team, which type of modes or which type of options we want to go ahead and display or make it as a available option for the users, right? So the business team could be taking that decision, what all the payment methods or which type of payment methods we want to go ahead. And the same might be taken for the MVP as well. As an MVP, which is the first one per set of story you want to go ahead with, right? You got that point, Kirti?
Got it, Satish. But how do I, let's say if I am a BA from rider sharing app company, and then I'm outsourcing particular development to a third party service company, right? So the only way I am communicating about this development to the third party company is through the user stories, right? So I be sure that somewhere in this user story this business rule is covered, correct?
When we go to the acceptance criteria, when we detail the stories, yes, it might be included, or yes, we can define as a separate story or as a spike or as a task, and we can communicate that information.
Got it. Okay. So this was the main query that I had. So Solomon or guys, can you please elaborate on the second doubt
So
that we had?
exactly. So basically, as many of the cases, the norm is if the driver demands more money, or if the rider doesn't have sufficient money. So there should be a I'm not sure. There should be a provision for in the application to raise those concerns. Right? So disputes or conflicts. So
yes,
with respect
that
to payment
will be
options,
handled as a separate feature or separate functionality, because that could be done even after completing the ride as well.
Exactly.
Right. So yes. So that the dispute or the conflict can be raised either by the driver or by the passenger.
Especially
any point of time. Yes.
Especially with respect to payment options.
With the payment or maybe the misbehavior of the driver, especially the lady passengers or anything, right? We can provide as a separate feature like raise a conflict or raise a dispute. What the options, the payment, the behavior or the riding of the driver, it can be done as separately. Yes.
Exactly. Sometimes if I transfer through Google Pay, it will say processing. We don't know whether it will get deposit or whether it will fail after some time. So how to handle this? So this is one of the questions we need to. We wanted to bring it up here.
Sure. Thanks.
So Satish, I had one last question, right? I personally was finding it very difficult to write the value part, right? Because as a product owner, I know what is I can come up with what is the value of individual user story or a feature, right? But as most of the times it will not get communicated to me, right? Even in this example that we saw, right, on a successful payment, right, we have written that a rider should get notified about successful payment, right? But what's the value? How do I write the value of it? So
the value of it is like the successful payment is indirectly showcasing that the payment is done, so that the ride will get completed there, right? So no need of doing any manual payment or any other way, and the ride, the overall process will get completed there as part of the successful payment.
Can I add a point or can I ask something?
Sure, Amit, go ahead.
Completion of payment, I think somewhere is related to the driver's payment also, right? If I'm not wrong. Like they usually get per trip. So if the payment is not completed, I don't know whether they will get it or not, the amount. So somewhere the payment successful is important or very important for the application, for the app to trigger.
Yes, Amit, I agree with you. So the Kirti's question is, we are saying that the payment is completed, right? The successful payment. So how is that giving the value as a rider to the value to the rider? Right. So because the story we are defining is as a rider, they want to complete the payment and get the notification. But by doing the payment, what is the value the rider or the passenger is getting in this context?
So is it that I get a confirmation that my everything from my end is
confirmation is yes one part, but what's the actual? Yes, even I got your point. Yes, Solomon.
Yeah, we will get a smile from rider as well. The payment is
smile. Maybe the smile from the driver.
Yeah,
No, no,
drivers.
this is
Yes.
important. I think he is right.
uh,
He is right because we, as a rider, also we also get the points, or we also get the ratings.
True,
Actually,
true.
this transaction is happening on the basis of some consideration. So that consideration is only traveling part, no? So that is completed. So that adds a value to this.
Yes.
So consideration is completed. On that basis, transaction is fully paid up.
Mm.
So
One
and
value add that I can think of is the safe journey.
Huh. Safe journey. Okay.
so and my last question, Satish,
Mhm.
for the spike, right? Is
Mhm.
it mandatory that I need to follow user story pattern as a so and
Uh,
so? I need to do this so that I
no, not
do it.
exactly. Because yes, I mentioned the same to Shipra's group. Yes, the spike anytime is not giving the direct value to the end user. Right. The spike is giving. We are doing analysis, we are doing a research, or we are trying to figure out which of the option we can go ahead. If you have 3, 4 options, right? So the outcome of the spike will be defined as a new separate user story. There we can define the user role, the activity and everything. But for the spike, it is internal. It is up to us, right? So how we want to choose which tool or which payment method, which encryption. So that is all the analysis research part. Need not be, if we define it, yes, well and good, but need not be explicitly following that user story format.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Satish.
Okay. Okay. Group 2 would like to go ahead and share the screen.
Nobody's talking. I think it's me. Hold on, I'll share.
Sure. And at the same time, I'm sharing the feedback link. You can start giving the feedback as well.
Okay, so I'll try to explain, but to everyone in the group too, if I like go, I mean, apart from my thing, just hold my hand and bring me back.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, so our feature is finding the rights for ride sharing app for single use. Okay,
Mhm.
so basically we divided the user story into the user inputs and the result, the search result. Right. So basically here we are saying that the first input and the first user story for the input is like, as a rider, I have I have I want to have an option to add source and destination that I can find the ride, so that I can find the ride. So basically I'm entering the source and I'm entering the destination. Okay. For this particular user story, we have two spikes. So the one is like app to pick up the current location of the rider. Second is app to ask the location permission from the rider. The first, app should actually ask the I'm sorry what I'm doing. Okay, so app to basically ask for the permission, and then app, once the permission is given, app to pick up the current location of the rider. So this will come under the source. So rather than entering the source, if it should pick up. Second is, one thing we can say in this user story, like one acceptance criteria is for the source itself, is like, while registering for the app as a rider, I must have entered the addresses that will come into the saved address. So there will be two options. One is selecting the source from the saved, and second is from the app to pick up the current location.
Mhm.
So second is, this is the first option. Then second input we have is like, as a rider, I want to have an option to of selecting the type of vehicle and or driver ratings. So driver rating is basically non mandatory, so that I can get the available riders. So here we are saying that the type of vehicle is like, we are not fixing it for four wheelers. So we are saying like two wheelers and four wheelers. And
Mm,
in fact,
mm,
in the four wheelers, we have an option of like hatchback or SUV or any other options, right?
mm,
So
mm,
whatever options I want to select as a rider, there should be an option. So after selecting the source and destination, there should be an option to select the type of vehicle. Then based on the driver rating also. So and or is because there could be a possibility that the driver is the new, and it might be his or her first ride. So there not necessarily that particular driver is having a rating. So
mhm,
that's why it's a non-mandatory input.
mhm.
Then the third user story is the once we enter the input, there should be a find or the search button. So here we are saying as a rider, I want to have an option to find the available vehicle options so that I can select the best option available. So basically, after inputting the source and destination, after selecting the type of vehicle, there should be an option to click on the search button or the find button.
Mhm.
So this user story covers the find part. Then there is a user story, this one, which is the search result. And this particular user story is the complete search result. And then we have divided that user story into multiple.
Mhm.
So this user story says that as a rider, I want to have the search result with the available vehicle details along with additional details so that I can select the best ride available. So additional details includes the driver, basic driver details that will include his or her gender and then the name and the call phone number if necessary. Then it will include the estimated fare. It will include the estimated time of arrival to the source. So these three user stories we have a separate we have like written separately. So this will include the complete result. So
Mhm.
now we have the user story which says as a rider I want to have the search result with estimated fares per ride available so that I can select the best ride available. So suppose if I selected two-wheelers, so I have multiple options. So there should be an option with the like there should be a result with estimated fares. So the
Mhm.
next user story is with the source estimated time of arrival.
Mhm.
So, and the third user story is as a rider, I want to have the search result with available vehicle details along with basic driver detail. So basically here, what our thought is like, there should be an option which says if, the driver is male or female. So that
Mhm.
like both kind of like riders, whether it's male or female, they should have an option like male riders should have an option to select a male driver also.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then we have two user stories. One is to filter and one is to sort. So basically we are giving this facility to the rider itself. So we are saying that as a rider I want to have an option to filter the result so that I can select the best ride available. So basically filters could be like the minimum fare first or the minimum estimated time of arrival first.
Mhm.
uh, okay, sorry, I mixed up. So this one is the sorting what I'm talking about. So sorting based on the minimum fare and the minimum time of arrival. Then the filter is like I can select only based on the estimated time of arrival. Then I can get the options only for the estimated time of arrival, which one is coming the based on the time.
Mhm.
So here, this is what we completed, but I had a point of discussion. I wanted one point here to be included, which is the type of only to select the type of payment. So
Mhm.
what my thought was like, suppose if I am the driver, so I could have option to see the rider and the rider and the selection that he or she has selected, that how he or she is going to pay to me. So I can have the option to say no if the rider is not giving cash because I want cash. So I just wanted to add one option here, which is type of payment. That's all.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but as a team, we discussed and we like we concluded that it should come under the payment part.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. So that's all from us.
Sure, that was me that suggested that payment should be in feature one, because we
Mm.
don't know how the feature one is progressing, right? So feature
Yes.
one may say
Yes.
that I want to go for cash option only as
Mm.
part of
Mm.
everything. Feature one may say that I want to go for cat option as only, or they may
Mm.
provide multiple options. So until I have a confirmation on how feature one is progressing, right? So I cannot include the elements of it. So if I
Mm.
say
Mm.
I'm giving an option, or to display even what are my payment options as part of my search results, then I might end up having cash in all the fields, right? Because that's the option feature team one may have gone for. So while I may have concluded or included something that will be helpful in future, but I may not want to spend my efforts on something which is not clear yet or which is not required yet. So in my search results, if I'm only getting cash, it is not a useful information to me at this point in time. That was my thought process.
Yes, thanks, Shipra. Okay.
Do we have covered that second NFR on that screen? I mean, during the
Non-functional
discussion.
Okay.
If the driver details should not be displayed, something like that.
Okay, so what we concluded here is like NFRs can be the acceptance criteria points in the existing user stories. So for NFRs, we don't need user stories because if you see the first user story, first NFR, it says that available ride should be displayed within 3 seconds. So here I can say that in the find option, I can include this acceptance criteria that the 3 seconds the result should be there, or maximum it should go to 10 seconds. Then if it still fails, it will give an XYZ error message, or it will give an XYZ notification to the driver, to the rider on the app itself. So there is no need for separate user story. And based on the second and the third, this should come under the security of the app itself. So no, this is our thought process of why we not included these NFRs in the as a user story.
Yeah, to add on, like when we are displaying the rider, the rides from the the driver perspective, right? We will be just displaying the driver name or maybe the photo profile for picture. That's it, right? So if you're not sharing any details as such, yes, that is indirectly covered, right? Both the customer details as well as the driver details. Once the booking is done as a separate feature, then we can think about how the customer and the driver can interact either through chat or the call using the app itself. How we can think or we can plan in the booking feature. Does that answer your question, Tushar?
Yeah, got it.
Sure. Thank you.
So Satish, I have a quick question. Sorry. So
sure.
Just a follow up on what Shipra just explained, right? So there will be, I mean, valid scenarios where the boundary demarcation would not be there, right? As in, like for this payment feature that Shipra just explained, right? Maybe if if there is a BA2 who is working on feature 2 and who is thinking that this will have to rightly go under feature 1, whereas a BA1 working on feature 1 might think that this will have to go into feature 2. But where is the appropriate channel where both these BAs communicate and then finalize on under which feature should it ideally fall? I mean, because there is a threat that both might ignore and then this feature itself might not go into product.
That's the reason we are having the common conversation once the few stories are defined, right? So that now we got to know that they are assuming or they are considering it should be done in feature 1, whereas in the feature 1 the team is not included. So now we can go back and we can discuss and see which feature or which team want to handle this scenario.
Got it, Satish. But does Agile have any any kind of ceremony that specifically address these gaps, Satish?
Not a typical team level thing, but some of the typically what happens is the product owners or the business analysts should be having a common conversation among themselves, and especially now, like when we have that question, right? So either Shipra might be reaching out to your team, or you might be reaching out to Shipra. Even if not a scheduled discussion as such, right? We can get it clarified. We can get raise it as a question and get it. Hey, can we say that the team 1 is taking care of this, or can you take care of this? Like that, we can raise it as a question and get it clarified.
I like
just thinking out loud, we do have our SMEs also if we are working in some domains, and if you are into safe, we have DPMs, or again, the business side people, like the customer side people who can give us more thoughts about this gap analysis.
Got it. Okay, but definitely there needs to be some governance process in place on content like that, right?
Yes.
This
Yes.
needs to
I
be
like
set
to
up.
Yes, Shipra.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I like to add something here, Kirti. So that comes into your question is a very valid question, and that comes into the purview of scaled agile, right? So we have scrum of scrums. So the idea is every scrum team is working on one feature, right? So let's say you are working on payments and I am working on finding the rights, right? So there is a meeting which is scheduled, let's say once every sprint, where which is known as scrum of scrums, and will suggest what we all are working on, and at that time we can say that I hope as part of your payments you are also taking care of displaying the payment options in the search results, and you may come back and say that no, we have not considered it so far, right? So that's a close collaboration that kicks in, and then we can decide. So either I say that okay, I'm almost done with my work, so let me take that up, and I'll take it as part of my user stories. Or you can say that we are much ahead in the payment options, so or you can say that we have not decided yet, and we are still in very initial stages, and we have not taken a decision, but we have make a note, and once we take the decision we will include a story to display the same in the search results. So depending on the situation or bandwidth, or it's a close collaboration, so one of us can agree on taking this up, but it is important that someone raise it. Business analysis does A business analyst does not make any assumptions whatsoever. When if he's making assumptions, he'll note it down somewhere, right? So that's an assumption I'm making, that your team is handling it, but I will have to validate all my assumptions, and that validation will iron out any communication gaps.
Yeah, fair point.
Exactly. Kirti, when you mentioned your team, like the feature one, right? You have two queries or the questions. The same way, the other team also might be raising their question. So, someone, either the business team or whoever is taking care of that, the implementation, they will get to know, right? Way this is a gap. This is the thing which needs to be addressed. Then let's assume I'm the one who is playing that role now. So I will be passing on that as an information either to team one or team B and say that, hey, this is the thing which we need to be handled. Maybe that might be even handled by team three, right? So we might not even aware, right? So that information should be passed on. So as our role is like we need to raise it as a question or a query clarification, and we need to pass it on. Make sure that is addressed.
Makes sense, Satish. And along with this, I think even the dependencies will be discussed in Scrum of Scrums. Let's say team is waiting for one user story to be complete. Only is done, team one will be able to take up a specific user story. So that dependency and time for taking that up, everything will come under Scrum of Scrum.
Yes. So the Scrum of Scrum, typical Scrum of Scrum, yes, that will be covered. But if we are talking about the total scale agile implementation, yes, this might be defined, identified during the backlog refinement or the PI planning preparedness or even the PI planning discussion. Right? But that's again the altogether a different discussion. Yes, but there somewhere or other the dependencies also will be discussed. Plus, along with this, we might be working upon the prioritization as well. Like as your team, you define 5 to 6 payment options, but you want to see, hey, as a MVP, you want to go with a couple of payment options as a starting point.
Makes sense, Satish. Okay.
Yes. So the prioritization of the might not be the whole feature. We might be implementing it the same sprint or for the same release. We might slice it down. We might group the features, the stories from the implementation perspective as well.
Got it, Satish. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Satish.
Group 3. Yes, we are already 15 minutes past. Yes. If in case anyone want to drop off, yes, feel free to drop off. We will upload the recording and yes, group 3.
Shubha, if you are speaking, you are on mute.
Sorry. So the feature is registration of passenger details. The moment the app is opened, so you will get to see a registration page where where first name, last name, mobile number, source, destination, and then gender, shift times, and those details will be asked. And also option to register as a driver, passenger, or both. And then you will have a submit button. So when you submit, there'll be basic data validation, like the first name first name, last name shouldn't have special characters, and mobile number has a required number of digits, and all those basic validations will be done. And if at all, if a user wants to be as a driver as well as a passenger, say basically he wants to do a carpooling or something, so he can, I mean, once he click, maybe it can be a radio button. When it is clicked, additional details will be asked, which like a car number, type of car, and DL number, and that needs to be validated. And once the submit button is clicked, an email will be sent to his corp email ID. Once that is verified, then only the date, I mean, he will be successfully registered into the app. So basically we have three main stories where I mean, as a user, I want to successfully register to the ride sharing app. And once the registration, I mean, once he is successfully registered after all these steps, after the corporate email ID is verified, he will be landed into a profile page where he will be displayed with the details that he has entered. So
yes. Thanks, team 3 or group 3. Yes, any questions or any doubts your team has, or are we good to go?
Just one point, Satish. Registration data to be successfully saved to database, right? So that is not a user experience.
Yes, that's not a user experience. That's why the user stories, they're highlighted in a different color. The actions or the acceptance criteria also they included. They did a little bit different. Yes, but they include all the topics or all the things required.
Yeah, but still, even in the acceptance criteria, you should only say registration data to be successfully saved. You will not mention database, or because you don't know where the team will be saving it. They might be it on cloud, or I'm not sure what all options are there, but you will not bring in technical aspects into your functional acceptance criteria or story.
I have a question on this. Sorry, Shipra, is it not necessary to mention that if it is getting saved in DB, because our user story is going to be tested also, and our QC members are also going to refer these acceptance criteria?
But why will you say it will be saved in database?
No, because there could be a possibility.
No, they might save it in. They might save it in an Excel file. They might save it in a JSON. They might.
Okay. So you are saying that not to mention the database. Okay. Got it.
Got it.
We are saying it should be successfully saved.
Yeah, correct.
We always go for so Satish at the beginning of the session talked about CRUD, right? Create, update, save, and delete. So save, delete, update, insert, new, all these are important functions. So we will say that data should be saved, but we will not say in database. That in database is something that I pointed out.
Okay, got it, Shipra.
So ideally that should be coming under a task, right, Shipra? If it is
yeah, I mean, basically this is the user story, and these are the points under points under one particular user story.
You mean acceptance criteria, right, Shubha?
Yeah. This is the acceptance criteria for this particular story. Yeah, registration data is saved successfully.
Database or something that is up to technical team. So as a BA, we do not create tasks. We do not get included in the technical aspects. We can review what they are doing, but we cannot own it, right? So we will not make. We will not say that it should save in SQL database or Oracle database, right? Because we don't know. Technical team might want to. There is some new technology that comes in tomorrow, or they might say that we'll save it on an Excel, right? So we cannot dictate that where they will be saving it.
It can actually come under non-functional requirement also, right, Shubhra? In that case, you will acceptance criteria. Because
Database
that
is not mentioned in user stories either as functional or non-functional.
Kirti,
so
what
sorry.
Shipra was telling was, we can tell what to do, but how to do, let the development team decide. That's what Shipra is telling.
Yes. It is up to the team, right? So we are not saying how. We are saying what. That's it.
Got it. Then how will a business analyst be able to write a spike? Because that will be completely developer work, correct?
So again, that's the reason even in the Scrum Guide, if you see, it need not be the overall responsibility of the product owner to define the stories or the backlog. Right. So definitely we can rely on the team. Hey, now that you know you need to do work on this spike, can you go ahead and define the spike and get that done?
Got it.
Right.
Or
Okay.
sometimes there can be situations where team feels that we need some more information about it, and they come to the product owner and the scrum master saying that we might need a spike so that we can go ahead with our research and come back with our findings, and then we will know if we need another story or if we need some more information. And we were talking about the gaps, right? So probably during those discussions, that is when we will understand there are some more spikes gaps that needs to be filled. So even the team can go to the PO. Not always that PO would come up with a spike. Usually spikes are requested by the dev teams.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, cool. Thanks for clarifying.
And one more question I had. So assume the user story is created. And it is assigned to one particular developer. Can he go ahead and modify the way he wants? Because he assumed that he wants to maintain all the required details pertaining to that particular user story. Can he go ahead and modify as per his convenience?
No, I think
two things. Two things here. Sorry to cut short. So typically, the assignment should not happen. Right. So again, that is again my individual perspective, my individual experience. The reason, let's suppose, your continuation of the question is like, if I want to implement, I will modify up to as per my convenience.
Right.
Let's suppose during the backlog refinement or during the sprint planning, I want to pick up that story, I will get assigned to me. By the time it comes to implementation, I might be on a sick leave or I might be busy with something else. So if someone else has to pick up that story, again, they might get confused or they might get lost in that. Right. So
And
both the things, it should be for commonly understandable for the whole team, and the product owner should be the one who should say, yes, this is the story. We can go ahead and with the implementation. Okay.
Exactly. So the ownership basically falls on the product owner. A developer should not modify the user story. If he can raise a concern with the product owner and a BA, and then they can discuss and then they can update the user story. But a developer by himself cannot update it.
But they can create the technical user stories for themselves.
Yeah,
Right?
the team can also create the user stories. As a team member, I also created the user story. Yes, need not be only the product owner should define the user stories, the user format and acceptance data. As a team member, our whole team, we used to sit together and we used to define the user story. Our product owner is busy. Just to get it, our product owner is totally busy, so she's not getting time to work on it. So what we did is the same way how we did today. We took some time. We defined the user story, acceptance criteria, everything. We passed on that, hey, these are the 10 user stories which we define. Can you review and say that, yes, these are the stories. This is how it will be implemented. You as a product owner take the decision. Let us know any changes, any suggestions. We will go ahead with that.
But again, before implementing it, we will need to get the concurrence.
Definitely. The product owner should confirm that, yes, this is the user story. Yes, this is the things. Yes, they might come back and say, hey, I want to split it as different story, or this is totally not making any sense. The overall authority still lies with the product owner.
Yeah, got it, Satish.
Sorry, someone has a question. I cut short them.
it was me, not you did not cut me off. So I
Okay.
was just trying to add another point that ideally, whatever the functionality that needs to be delivered to the end user, the responsibility is of the PO. How to achieve it technically stays with the dev team.
And shouldn't it be part of description of the user story? I mean, if at all, if I know what's the user story, I mean, as a developer, I want to add how I want to achieve it.
That can go in the comments, but you cannot change the user story.
Description of the
User story updation is only approval updations. Usually that is something that the POs do it. If you as a technical person want to write down what you are implementing technically, you can always do that in comments so that the other members can still rely on your information, have a look at your information, but nothing needs to be added to the story.
And the best place to add all the technical specifications as technical requirements is tasks, right? We will be adding tasks under each of the user stories. There the developers will decide on how they can technically implement this feature.
Exactly.
So a user story only talks about how the business wants this feature to be seen, right? And tasks basically talk about how I can implement this particular feature in the language of a developer, so that I can get this feature implemented for the business.
In the language of the user, end user.
Tasks, it will always be
Task
for the
will be from the end developer, yes, but the user story in the language of the end user.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, 11:28. Wow, what a great energy.
Just one thing, Satish.
Yes.
We have heard a lot of time task word in today's session, right? As a business analyst, we do not get involved in creating tasks.
Yes, that's correct.
Be done by developers. We should focus only on user stories and acceptance criteria. Just remove task word from your vocabulary, because that is something we are not supposed to do. And if someone is coming back to see to you and say create task for us, say no, this is not part of my job description.
Thanks, Shipra. Okay. What else? Are we good?
So thanks for the wonderful session, Satish. Just a quick check on, we are planning one more session, right?
You let me know what's the next session we want to have. Maybe sometime during September. August, a little bit tricky again, the calendar. Yes, September we can plan.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'll reach out to you in September. So
sure.
All of these sessions, and we'll like to meet you. And
yeah, thank you, Shipra.
Take your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Satish, for the wonderful session. Thank you, Shipra, for organizing much more sessions like this.
Thanks and welcome, all. I hope you all are on the BA Club Telegram group, so that you can join us in every Saturday session. So,
can you share that link in WhatsApp, Shubham? Again.
So just search for THEBACLUB in Telegram, and you'll find the group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the today's recording, excluding the breakout discussion, I will be uploading by tomorrow into this YouTube channel. Yes, I can go through it, and the Miro board link also will be. How can I share it? Let me think about it. I will share that Miro board as well. And yes, again, thanks everyone for making this a wonderful session.
Thanks, Satish. Thanks,
Satish. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night. Bye.
Thanks for all. Satish, Shubhra. Have a great day. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Good night, all. Thank you, Satish, for
Good
a
night.
wonderful session.
Sure.
Thank you.